What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Five. I'm Griff.
Stuff. I'm Will.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Red Sox. I promised just a little bit this episode. We got some NBA talk, a little bit of NFL talk as we're getting down to this last week of preseason. And we're going to finish off with our predictions of standings of the AFC and NFC South. So what do we say, guys?
Let's do it. Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Five. We're going to get things started talking about the last place Red Sox. They just got swept by the Toronto Blue Jays in heartbreaking fashion. 2 of those losses out of the 3 came in extra innings off of games that they both should have won. I really don't think that this team's worth talking about, especially the product on the field. Like yesterday, bases loaded, bottom of the 9th, no outs, and they didn't score. They had the bottom of the 8th, lead-off triple, and then they got 3 straight outs. No one could advance the runner. The whole plate approach is just awful. They need to reorganize. They need to redo the entire organization.
Serious changes need to be made, and we've not only did we get swept, we've lost 6 of our last 7. One of those games that we did win was against the Orioles, and it's by 1 run. It's like we're not scoring runs. We're giving up a lot of runs. We're overall just completely bad, on all cylinders. Remember at the beginning of the season where we started off, the pitchers were hot, hitting was bad, and then it switched. A couple of pitchers got hurt. Our hitting started to tune up. That's when Story got hot. But ever since then, I swear, it's just been every single part of this roster has been below average, to the point where, hitting in general is just bad, and we've seen our best players be some of our worst hitters average-wise over the span of the last couple months. So, we've been talking on the podcast about how there's a lot of time left. And there still is technically time left. But just the direction that this team is taking right now really doesn't make sense. And I really can't see us doing anything. And I feel like this is the first episode that, I don't want to say we gave up, but in a sense, it's kind of obvious that we're not what we want to be, and we're not going to be in the playoffs this year.
We're not really taking the right steps to begin with, just in general. We thought we were a couple weeks ago when we were kind of still fighting.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of ready to just be I'm ready for next year. In a good way.
No, you're right.
We've dealt with injuries, we've dealt with everything. We really just got unlucky. And in my opinion, we got unlucky. Everyone kind of just being about bang average, and then our star players getting hurt and having to deal with that, especially, doesn't help. One, I know we don't need to talk about this, but obviously not having any contracts locked up. What's the point of them trying so much if they don't know? Because they already have proven themselves. Yeah. They don't need to do anything now. They already earned their contract for the year. Everyone else, they're gonna get it. And they're not worried at all.
Right, and that's a scary thing with Xander being up this year. Rafi being up next year kind of gives us a little bit more freedom to wiggle around this offseason, but Xander's someone that we need to lock up. I really thought that once we got rid of Christian Vasquez, that didn't make me feel safe about Xander, but that's a guy that we need, straight up. He's going to be the captain of our team. He's going to be the leader of our team for the next 5, 6, until he retires, how many years that is. We need to lock him up for the rest of his career. We need to sign Rafi to these big numbers that, we saw J-Rod get today. We saw Tatis get before he gets suspended. Just a lot of guys in general. Rafi is a young, shining star. And it's not even to the point where it's with Julio Rodriguez, a rookie, who's hit 20 home runs, and I want to say he was the second fastest to get 20 home runs. He technically really hasn't proven much yet. He's been amazing in this first year, but like I said, this is his first year. Devers has been doing this for a few years now. He should be getting paid with the best of them. It's as simple. Let's go into this offseason. Let's pay the guys that we already have. Let's make a couple moves. I know we need a catcher. We're going to need some more pitching, especially in that bullpen. I'm not sure about that rotation. Having Chris Sale there, just in general, I don't really like, because we don't know when he's going to play, ever. We really don't. He can come back and he'll get hurt again. He's fragile to the point where he's supposed to be our ace. And when your ace is on and off, whether you really don't know the next time he's going to be playing, that hurts a whole ball club, and it's shown this year. So we do have a lot of issues. I feel like there's not much more we can say until we get to the point where it's like, okay, what are we going to look for in the offseason?
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking forward to the offseason. I mean, you can still root for the team, but there's no expectations for them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty
There's really
much
nothing else to say. I mean,
Agreed.
Yeah. So let's move on to the NBA. And other depressing news, in a sense, but totally predictable. Chet Holmgren is out for the year. I mean, I feel like we said this right when he got drafted, that he's fragile. He needs to put on some weight, like everyone said. And he literally got hurt guarding LeBron
all
once.
the LeBron body memes are.
Yeah, LeBron literally lowered a shoulder into him and destroyed his foot.
Le Bounty Gate.
Yeah, LeBounty Gate, Chet Holmgren injury. It's just like he's out for the season, but in a sick way, I feel like Sam Presti loves this.
Okay, you know what? You know for a fact that he loves it. I mean, it's tank for Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Wembanyama is going to be the greatest basketball player of all time. And think of a lineup.
And Chet's going to bulk up.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, well, because especially with the Liz Frank injury, there's no cardio involved. So he's going to be lifting upper body a lot. He's going to be eating a lot. And he's not going to have the ability to lose as much weight as he usually does. So, I mean, I'm expecting him to put on at least 20 or 25 pounds within this next year. By the time we see him play in an NBA game, I feel like he's going to have an NBA-ready body. I feel like this is like, we saw it with the process. You know, Joel Embiid was out for a year. Ben Simmons was out for his first year. And they come back, and they're actually pretty good. And I feel like this is like the perfect case where you got to see some positives in this negative situation, because obviously being hurt isn't a good thing. But with Chet being, I mean, as like skinny and scrawny as he is, this is a very good excuse to, you know, put on some weight.
Chet Holmgren saw Jason Tatum drop 20 in the first quarter. He was like, I need to be out for the season.
Yeah, he was like, I can't play. Because, you know, the Celtics are winning the NBA championship.
He's like, might as well just redshirt.
I mean, right now, like, out of all the players that, like, all the star players that have gotten hurt in their first, like, season, I mean, besides Ben Simmons, that doesn't really count, but he was still, like, decent.
Rookie of the year, even though he was, like, 28.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's still, like, a lot of growth there for him to make after a full year of NBA training.
You're right. You're very right. And that's the best part about this was you'd rather have this happen to you in pro ball, especially at the NBA level, compared to college, because you have full access to these facilities, you have full access to the team chef, the team food, all of this. Like, this is the best that you can possibly get in this career, and you just have a year. Everybody has your expectations. Now you have a complete year to train. You know, kind of in a sense, like,
they're gonna forget
I kind of want to compare it to like a Trey Lance situation, and even maybe a Jamar Chase, where they took their last year off. They have a full year to train, and you could say the same with James Wiseman. A full year to train, and specifically train for the NBA, or for the highest level of their professional sport. And I feel like we debated this a while ago when it came to Trey Lance. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Now, he already got drafted. He has a full year to develop without playing in a game. So he doesn't really have the opportunity to have anything negative happen to him in a game to really mess up his mind.
Also, the expectations are lower now because he's not coming off that starter. Like, especially for Chet's situation, like, they're obviously probably going to expect him to do good. They were expected to compete this year. I mean, right now, I think their estimated wins is like 23. Yeah. It's like the second lowest in the league projected, or something like that, which, I mean, tank for Wembanyama.
That's what I'm saying. And if they do get Wembanyama, and not only are they going for Wembanyama, they have picks in general. So, like, if they get their own pick to be a top half lottery pick, they're going to be just fine, because the Thunder, since they got rid of KD, since they got rid of Russ and PG and everybody, they've just been bulking up for the future, and you can see that they're getting there. But you know that this year, you can see that this year isn't going to be the year. So, I mean,
they've done it the right way in the sense, I feel like we've said this, but where they kind of could sense that no one was going to re-sign and that they weren't going anywhere. Yeah. You know, they acquired all the talent that year with, like, PG, Melo, and they still got eliminated in the first round. And they were like, all right, now's the time when these guys' stock is high. Like, I mean, PG hasn't really played since the Thunder traded him. Russ Westbrook's career has gone down in shambles since then. Like, they sold stock at the right time.
Melo was in and out of retirement. On that
Yeah,
deal.
exactly. So it's like one of those, they got a lot of future pieces in which people are like, oh, wow, the Thunder are trying to lose. Yeah, and they're doing it.
They are, and they're.
I mean, they're doing it like you said, stuff the right way. Like they're like honestly, I'm kind of rooting for them to have like the first like full rebuild like in the NBA, like literally
Since the Celtics.
literally like scratch.
Well, yeah, because the Celtics traded for.
Like we still had stuff to play with. Like they literally have all rookies besides like Shea and Lou Dort.
And you know Dort's gonna hold it.
But like
down.
they
It's
built
gonna be
those
a big
guys
year
too.
from Lou Dort. I'm not kidding.
I might bet him for MVP. No, I'm kidding. All right. So next on the NBA news, we have Pat Bev traded to the Lakers. And my preliminary thoughts on this, it really doesn't make the Lakers any better.
I think this trade just cancels each other out.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like okay.
Well, and it's not even the fact that they so the Jazz in return got Taylor Horton Tucker, which by all means everybody has been saying for years that they're waiting for him to break out. I mean, not for years because I think he's going into year 3.
Yeah.
I have like no hope for Taylor Horton Tucker. I have never thought he was that good. I don't think he's a starter in this league. And they also got rid of Stanley Johnson, which is like he was pretty good on the Pistons.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
But he's not good anymore. So I mean, they got Pat Bev, who's decent. But you're right. They really didn't get better. This wasn't really a position of need because Pat Bev is a starting 1.
Yeah.
And Russell Westbrook is also a starting 1, whether you like it or not.
Neither can shoot.
And neither can shoot, and neither of their egos are going to allow themselves to come off the bench. And not only that,
I don't know about that because I think Bev.
Pat Bev would be the one to come off.
Yes. Yes. Russ wouldn't.
No,
I
I can see where you're
just
coming
don't
from.
understand the move. Like THT's kind of like a little below average. I know it's only going to be his 3rd year, but like in terms of
Taylor Horton Tucker sucks. I'm sorry. I think he
What
sucks.
did he average 9 a game last year on like 25
it
minutes a game?
It wasn't anything that good. And then like Stanley Johnson, like obviously he's a vet, so there's like I guess you get that. But then like getting Pat Bev and Russ on the same team, like if you're the Lakers, like what direction are you even taking with this trade?
It really doesn't make sense. It's just to the point where they're just trying to, gain names.
Honestly, it just seems like they're
people
just
know.
trying to keep the fans happy with them in the news.
Yeah.
Like they were just out of the news for too long.
I mean, but at the same time, it's kind of like you got to make a trade at some point. You got to make some moves at some point. Everybody's expecting moves, so why not go out and this is a blockbuster trade because of the fact that it's the Los Angeles Lakers. If the Minnesota Timberwolves still had Pat Bev, right, and they were trading Pat Bev to say
The Jazz.
exactly. Like, nobody. Oh, they'd be like, remember when Pat Bev got moved twice this offseason?
Yeah.
That wasn't really that big of a deal. It's only a big deal because he's going to the Lakers. So like, this isn't a blockbuster trade or anything. It's just a little move. But I do have the question of who won this trade, straight up, because you have to look at it this way: the Jazz. We don't know what their next move is going to be,
exactly.
and everybody's just waiting for Donovan Mitchell to get dumped. They don't know what's going to happen, and Pat Bev is ready to go to a win-now team, which I guess you could say the Lakers are just because they have LeBron James, they have Anthony Davis. They got rid of Taylor Horton Tucker, though, and they got rid of Stanley Johnson. So, like, I don't know. I mean, stop. What do you think?
I guess the Lakers want it. I don't think it makes them necessarily better, but I just don't think that the Jazz got any good value back.
Okay.
I mean, hypothetically, we can talk about this more when it gets closer to the NBA season, but the Lakers don't have any three-point shooting on their roster.
Yeah.
I think we kind of talked about this before, but you're down by 3. Who do you want taking the shot?
It's going to have to be LeBron.
Yeah, and it's just like what's he, a 30% three-point shooter? So it's like one of those things where Kent Bazemore maybe is going to take that shot.
No, you
3.
can't have him take that shot.
I know. It's just like they don't have any spot-up shooters, and that's how LeBron succeeds, and the Lakers haven't built the roster around him to succeed. And that's going to be the excuse
That's what I
once
was
they're the
saying.
8th seed.
That's what I was saying. Like, what direction are they even like taking with this trade? Like, why aren't they just trying to use because like THT, like in terms of league source, like obviously he's not good. Like his stats aren't good, but like he's in his 3rd year and there's potential.
That lineup is so bad. Russell Westbrook, Pat Bev, Juan Toscano Anderson, LeBron.
Okay, but here's what it's going to be. Austin Reeves is going to run the 3 because they said Austin Reeves is going to be their starter and in their closing lineup. They have a lot of trust in Austin Reeves, which is a bad thing because once again, Austin Reeves isn't good. Like, he's really not that good. So he's going to, I guarantee he's going to start over Juan Toscano Anderson at the 3. And it's going to be around that same lineup where I think we might see Russ and Pat Bev play the 1 and 2 and kind of, I think Russ is going to be the point guard on offense, be a shooting guard on defense. Guard the 2 when he's on defense, but bring up the ball. And Pat Bev is going to lock up, I guess you could say the other team's best guard. And then Austin Reeves is going to do nothing. LeBron James is going to run the 4 with Juan Toscano Anderson behind him, and you're going to have AD at center with Thomas Bryant.
That's actually not a bad group.
That's their best position group. Which I was going to say is by far their best position group.
If I'm AD, 1, I'm pissed. 2, why isn't he speaking to the front office? Like, why have we heard him say anything? Like, he literally just doesn't.
He hasn't even been playing basketball.
I know, but I'm saying, like, why? Like, I feel like
this team sucks.
Like at what point, like, what are you, like, Anthony Davis just wasting?
This depth chart has Lonnie Walker as the backup small forward. Lonnie Walker's a point guard.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they just don't.
They don't have anyone.
They don't have small forwards because, I guess you could say Austin Reeves, but that's literally, with LeBron at the 4, that's Austin Reeves is their only small forward on this roster. So, I want to say that there's no chance they don't make another move. They have to make another move.
Yeah, this roster
at least one. It is very incomplete. So I guess like we can say more about this team when we get closer to the NBA season, which really isn't that far away.
It's literally a month and a half away, basically.
Yeah. So I guess we can get excited to see what kind of moves the Lakers are going to make in the future, if there is any, which I really think there should be. But we can move on here to the NFL. We have one more week of preseason. We're almost there. Preseason, by the way, I'm going to say has been awesome. I love Thursday nights. I love watching games on Friday nights, on Saturday, and then on Sunday. It's been awesome. But I am ready to get the Thursday night, the Sunday slate, Sunday night, and Monday night get going. Sorry. This is exciting. In the last week of the preseason is very, very exciting for these subpar teams. And we're going to get straight into the most subpar team, my favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks. We have a big QB battle. I would say, if not this team, then maybe the Steelers is the biggest QB battle left of this preseason.
That's remaining, yeah.
But straight up, we have Drew Lock, we have Geno Smith. Will, who's going to win this QB battle? I think it's going to be settled this week, but who do you think is going to ball out this week and win it?
I think Geno Smith's going to start for the Seattle Seahawks week 1 and probably through week 5, 6. And then however he falls around then, that could be Drew Lock time.
What about your stuff?
It depends on what direction the franchise wants to go. You want to put people in the seats. I feel like Drew Lock would be more apt to put people in the seats compared to Geno Smith. You know what you're going to get with Geno Smith, but Drew Lock is such a wild card. Like, this is kind of a bad comparison, but Drew Lock kind of reminds me of Jameis. He's going to sling it around, but you don't know what is he going to.
Yeah, what team is he going to sling the ball to?
The only reason why I was thinking Geno Smith is because Drew Lock's been out. So they really haven't. I feel like they wouldn't throw him in week 1.
And the reason why I'm going to say Geno Smith for week 1 is the fact that Pete Carroll is our coach.
Yeah.
And the fact that Drew Lock was out because of COVID makes it a lot easier for Pete Carroll to kind of say, like, oh, that's like not a good excuse for us to start Geno. But I genuinely think Geno earned this spot in the sense that the only reason that I could see Drew Lock starting is because he's younger and is because he has the ability to make these more exciting plays. But throughout watching the past 2 games, I didn't see Drew Lock in week 2 because of COVID. But in week 1, watching them go up, kind of, Drew Lock getting the first half, Geno getting the second half. Geno has a command, just because of the veteran presence. He's been in this system for a few years now, especially. He's a lot more comfortable behind center when it comes to playing for the Seattle Seahawks because he's been here, he knows what he's doing, and he's been in the league for a long time. So he knows kind of, the flow of the game. He knows what he's doing with these receivers. He just knows, in general, when you go a veteran against a young guy, the young guy would win it because of the promise, but the veteran here in this case is going to win it just because he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I got Geno Smith starting week 1, and I got Jimmy Garoppolo starting week 2.
Do you think the Seahawks are going to trade for?
Okay, so here's the thing.
That drop, I don't want to say I was zoned out but then when you said Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm like, wait, did he just switch to the 49ers or something?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Jimmy G is on the block.
Yeah.
Heavily.
Yeah.
But teams know that Jimmy Garoppolo already isn't starting.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Garoppolo is up for trade. They're trying to find any value they can. They're
They
not
might
going to
cut
get
him.
anything. They're going to cut him because it's official that Trey Lance is the starting quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo isn't playing in any preseason games. He's not practicing with them because when you've seen the clips of him practicing, he's practicing with like coaches and different staff. He's not practicing with the team. He is gone.
Yeah.
So these teams that are looking for a quarterback, which there isn't many, right? There isn't many teams that are looking for a quarterback. They're not going to make a trade because they know by the end of week 1, Jimmy G is going to get cut.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good fit, and especially if the Seahawks do end up signing or trading for however it happens to get Jimmy G, I think that's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a team who's going to probably want to run the ball. They have 2 good backs.
Yep.
They got a
Offensive line
He is a
offensive
QB
line is
that's
better than it
running.
was last year.
the clip I sent you, the
Yeah.
right tackle just dominated.
Yeah, it's
So,
too bad our left tackle
Jimmy
sucks.
G is a quarterback that can thrive in a run first
Exactly.
offense.
But
No one can't do a tight end.
the thing that may be stopping this team from getting Jimmy Garoppolo this year is just the fact that we could just pull a little tank and try to get a quarterback in the first round. Someone like a
CJ
Stroud, someone like a Bryce Young.
Will Levis.
I wouldn't say Will Levis, but the other 2 names I do like. But I mean, if we're looking to win a couple of games, Jimmy is there and he will be available. So I mean, I don't see why not if we want to win games. Coming from a Seahawks fan perspective, I don't want to win games this year. Straight up, I'm going to watch Chargers games. I'm going to watch Jets games. I'm going to watch these fun, young, exciting teams. And then I'm going to get ready to gear up for my rookie quarterback next year. But that's what I'm going to leave it at for now. I mentioned this other team here when we're talking about quarterback battles. We have one in Pittsburgh, guys, between Mitch and Kenny Pickett. And at the beginning of the preseason, it really seemed like it was going to be Mitch, right? Mm-hmm. And just the fact that he signed to a 2-year deal, I think it was around $14 million, so that's $7 million a year, pretty good money. It seemed like he was going there to be a starting quarterback, and that's what everybody thought. And with getting Kenny Pickett, it kind of looked like, oh, we're going to let Mitch ride out this year. Kenny Pickett's going to get a year to kind of develop, learn the system, all of this, until we see him in these first 2 preseason games, and he's been very good. Yeah. So it's come to the point where this kind of has opened up a little bit just by the fact that Kenny Pickett has been very good in these 2 preseason games. And people can say what they want about preseason games, but that's where rookies kind of prove themselves. You know, like we're still going 100%. He's faced against a couple of first-team defenses. He's looked pretty good. You know, he's had his iffy moments, but that's what happens with rookies. And with the direction that the Steelers are trying to take, this serves a big issue because Mitch isn't that old. But you know that at some point Kenny Pickett is going to be their starting quarterback because, I mean, he's Kenny Pickett. You know, he was fantastic in college. You see the potential that he could be a starting quarterback in this league. The question is when. Now, do you think it's going to be week 1 or do you think that Mitch is going to be there?
I wish we could see this last week of preseason just to kind of see what they're running the first-team offense with.
Yeah.
But I've heard, you guys could correct me if you've heard otherwise, but I thought Kenny Pickett was taking a lot of first-team reps in practice as well.
Yes.
So I do think that it's going to be kind of like last year with Mac Jones kind of in the news emerging with only 2 weeks left until the opening kickoff, essentially. I think that Kenny Pickett will be the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers come week 1.
That's fair. And it's to the point where this has been a surprising one because, like, I didn't really think this at the beginning of the regular season, or at the beginning of the preseason, like you said. It's just the fact that he's been flat out balling out.
I was going to say Kenny Pickett, too. The way he's gelling with all those players, like especially in the preseason, and he's taking first-team reps, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't just roll with him. And then, obviously, like, you don't know what's going to happen, but if he doesn't end up panning out in the regular season, they still have a security blanket in Trubisky to come in and just try to win games.
Yeah, in a division with a team that, you know, they may not be fantastic, but they have the ability to kind of sneak in there and maybe find a way. Oh, you're looking at the depth chart? Yeah, that's just how it has it for now. But you know, ESPN depth charts be capping.
Yeah.
But a lineup that's not terrible in my opinion. opinion. And if George Pickens can
The
come
offense
through,
is kind of good if they can get a quarterback.
that's what I'm saying. If George Pickens can come through and be that wide receiver, maybe 2 behind Deontay Johnson, or maybe even a wide receiver 1, and let Deontay Johnson thrive in that slot, which is where everybody loves to see him. You have Claypool on that other outside spot. With Freiermuth, you got a top end fullback, and you have a decent. I'm not going to say a great. You have a decent O line, and that defense honestly isn't bad. It really
isn't that good. Like run stop wise, there's a lot of holes in that. The
it's
linebacking
just
core
the fact
is
that
awesome.
yeah, exactly. The linebacking core is awesome. The safeties are good. I like Cameron Sutton, and obviously you know what Minka Fitzpatrick's going to do. I'm sorry, I meant to say secondary. But Terrell Edmonds and Minka, I mean, those are great safeties. I don't mind Levi Wallace, but yeah, I mean, the rest of these corners aren't really that great. So they have a couple of holes in their team, but this is a team that if Kenny Pickett can really put it together and have a great year, then they could maybe sneak in with about 500, and who knows. But I think Mitch is the safe option. That's why I think we're going to see him in the first week. And I think it's going to be a situation that I'm literally going to compare it to the same guy that Mitch Trubisky had, where they're waiting for him to mess up. They're just waiting for him to have one mistake, and when you put that on a quarterback, he will have one mistake because of the pressure that you put on him, the unnecessary pressure, and we're going to be seeing Kenny Pickett very soon.
I compared it to Mac Jones last year with Kenny Pickett. I also kind of want to compare it to Baker Mayfield and the Browns that first year, although it was an injury that sidelined Tyrod Taylor for the Browns that year.
Mm-hmm.
It very well could be something like that with Mitch Trubisky, where they're just waiting for something to come up and they'll just start Pickett for the rest of the year. I was going to say Baker, but
right. Yeah. No. I mean, it's going to be an interesting battle. It's always interesting with the rookies because it's like, why not take a shot on a rookie, or do you want to be safe?
I keep looking at your team. You have an insane team.
Yeah, my team's nice. But yeah, moving on, big news. Conjoint practice between the Super Bowl matchup.
Whose idea was that?
Yes, that's why I brought that up. So weird, and that's what led Aaron Donald, being a crazy man, smacking somebody in the head with the helmet.
With 2 helmets. You see that picture? He had 2 helmets, and he's just swinging like crazy. I heard that he might get suspended.
That's the question I was going to ask.
By the team. It would have to be by the team.
The NFL's not going to do anything. If you were in the position of the team, Stav,
hell no.
Would you suspend
him?
No. Okay, I'm being straight up. I wouldn't suspend him just because he's Aaron Donald.
Yeah, there's somebody else. It's different. Maybe I'll suspend him for this preseason game. Yeah, at the point
no one got hurt.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they don't need to. It's not the Mason Rudolph situation where he literally could have died.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we were kind of joking when we started talking about this, but like, no one got hurt, and like.
It's Aaron Donald.
Suspend him for this preseason game, technically, and a week.
Maybe
he probably won't even play the preseason game.
He won't.
Yeah, like give him a fine, and then the owner will pay it off.
If I'm Sean McVay, I saw Sean McVay just talking about how he was glad nobody got injured. That's all he really said. If I'm Sean McVay, I'm hyped because Aaron Donald still has that fire after saying that he's going to potentially retire. But I mean, what Aaron Donald's going to bring, and this isn't like out of the possibilities of what you think Aaron Donald is going to do, because we've seen him do some crazy stuff. He gets a hot head and he gets in fights in game, in practice. I think every year the Rams have a conjoined practice and Aaron Donald starts a fight.
Or
even not conjoined practice. He'll fight his own team
to get hyped up for the year.
So I saw. This was all over Twitter when it happened. I forgot what day it was, and I don't have screenshots. I should have taken them for this, but every single random lineman chimed in and was like, Aaron Donald just hates to be blocked. I guarantee there was nothing that happened wrong here. And Aaron Donald just got pissed he was getting double teamed or something.
He was probably getting double teamed, maybe even triple teamed because he's Aaron Donald, and he was just pissed because remember that clip of D-Book when he was getting double teamed in open runs? He was like, "Come on, guys, we're practicing." So I really think that it's only deep because people made it deep. It got to the point where people were on Twitter saying this could possibly be assault, where it's there's a difference. There's a difference when you could say that they let it slide in football or in hockey and stuff like that when there's fights and people get messed up, but that's exactly what it is. They get paid to do this. This is you can think of it technically as a show. This is entertainment, This is what they're here to do. And when you're a professional athlete, especially in football, when your job is to hit, and there's a lot of tension and there's millions of dollars on the line, I really couldn't see how this could be assault. This is a part of the game. It's not like this hasn't happened before. We've seen it in a real game. We've seen it in many real games. To the point where I don't think he's going to get a suspension. I don't think he'll get a fine. I really don't think anything will happen. And Aaron Donald is going to be a great player this season.
We should just drop it. I don't really think it's that deep to begin with.
Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it was all over ESPN all day.
Oh yeah, they were milking it like usual because they were probably just like, oh my god, he's probably gonna get. They were waiting for like the NFL to like suspend him or something like that, so they could be the first people to like say it, and nothing's gonna happen. Like it's literally training camp.
You happy the Seahawks are -7 tonight against the Cowboys?
This will probably be the only game we're favored in all year.
That's a big spread.
We weren't favored in the first 2 preseason games either, rightfully so. We didn't cover the spread. We haven't covered the spread yet. And I don't think we'll cover the spread tonight.
Yeah, that's a crazy spread.
Well, because we're playing Drew Lock in the first half and Geno Smith in the second half.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that part. Okay, so
This is like the battle. The battle is tonight.
they're literally going to play their ones all game.
Yeah, we're going to play our ones. Like, I think we're going to play the first drive, DK and Tyler Lockett are going to be out there. And then the first drive of the second half, DK and Tyler Lockett are also going to be out there.
Did you guys see, speaking of, I don't know what made me think of that, but there was an ESPN fantasy football do not draft list.
I saw that thing on Instagram.
It was Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, like
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I think
Zeke was on that list. It's like
so was Amari Cooper.
If I'm in a position to, Amari Cooper, that's a decent shout because he doesn't have a quarterback. He's first
But I mean, you can still.
But still, it's Amari Cooper.
It's Amari Cooper, and he's the wide receiver 1. Like he's gonna get touches.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like if I'm in a position to draft Josh Allen,
I'm
probably going to win MVP this year.
Yeah.
Or like who's going to be up there?
It's almost dumb if you don't take literally almost any single.
Josh Allen.
Like it's fantasy, you have to take a risk on someone.
Yeah,
and those guys aren't even risks.
No, really. It's Josh.
Like who realistically they're like, oh, don't draft him, but then they're like, oh yeah, go ahead, draft like.
I wish
Baker Mayfield.
And then they're like, we love Justin Fields.
Yeah, and he's gonna average like 5 points and like 5 picks a game.
Yeah.
All right.
I got one more question in
Yes.
the NFL before we get.
This is what reminded me seeing this.
Yes, I have one more question before we get into our predictions for the AFC and NFC South, and that comes out of Dallas, America's team. We've been saying this for a couple of years now, and I've been seeing reports where nothing in practice, but a lot of people are guessing within the first couple of weeks Tony Pollard is going to be running back 1, and I think. I wanted to bring this up on this episode before the season starts because I've been Team Tony Pollard since he was a rookie. And as much as I love Zeke, he was so exciting coming out of Ohio State. The fact that Dak and him came in at the same time was awesome. I want to come out and say I think that this may come back to bite me in the ass at the end of the season if Zeke really kind of comes through and comes back. Tony Pollard is a better all-around back than Ezekiel Elliott is now.
I believe that. I have no problem with you saying that.
Just due to injuries, due to everything that's happened to Zeke, the way that he came back to preseason, gaining a lot of weight, which, nothing wrong with it. It depends on the direction that he's trying to take. But I think that Tony Pollard in this offense, where you have CeeDee Lamb, where you have Michael Gallup, who's hurt for now, and Jalen Tolbert, who's been heard of, the rookie who may make a couple of moves, who may do a couple of things for this team. Tony Pollard's a great pass-catching back.
What I was going to say...
I really think that Dak would succeed.
Especially with Tyron Smith being out now.
Exactly.
Dak
and by the way, that makes that offensive line very bad.
Yeah.
Very bad. All they have is Zach Martin.
What I was going to say was recently Zeke has now proven to be a top premier back in the league.
You're right. He's not a premier back.
And Tony Pollard has stepped into that little void that's kind of been created with their double running back system, and he's kind of shown his worth. No, and I don't see why they wouldn't be like, okay, well, let's try Tony Pollard in all game, and then have Zeke come in when we need someone as a power back, because Zeke would probably be if we look at this, it's kind of like a Kareem Hunt Chubb situation where Zeke is Kareem Hunt and Tony Pollard is Chubb. Where you have a little bit of speed, you have a little bit of offense, and you have a little What's going on?
I didn't know college football started tomorrow.
Yeah, week 0.
Wow.
But yeah,
Sorry for interrupting,
yeah.
but
Where they kind of have that little double running back situation going, but I feel like Zeke consuming most of those reps would be not as helpful to them.
it's going to come down to the point where this is going to be Madden, where you have your power back and you have your third down back, and it's just what kind of style of offense are you going to be running more? And I really think that they're going to be using a third down back more. They're going to be using receiving back a lot more.
They're going to be
and
pass
Tony
heavy
Pollard,
this year. I think.
Tony Pollard, in my opinion, is a lot better.
I feel like the Cowboys are going to end up having to be pass heavy because of that offensive line. I don't think a lot of holes are going to open up for the running backs. They're going to need to do a lot of dump downs.
Yeah, no, you're very right. A lot of screens, and that's what we've seen from this team.
And Tony Pollard's a guy with explosive speed.
They're playing in Dublin, Ireland, by the way.
slow field.
But, okay, I guess I'll bring it up right now. Week 0, starting on Saturday, tomorrow at the time of this recording, Northwestern, Nebraska in Dublin, Ireland. It's a slow field, slow grass, but
Slow teams.
week 0, not a lot of reps taken. That ball's going to be flying all over that grass pitch, and you know it.
That's the lowest. I don't know. Nevada and New Mexico State.
Look at the spread of UConn versus Utah State. It's like 30.
UConn's plus 26.5.
UConn stinks. UConn is not going to win a game this year. But let's head into the final segment of this episode. We got the AFC and the NFC South. We're going to be starting off with the AFC. Stav, get us started.
Okay. I'm going to go straight up. Texans last. I think they're going to go 2-15. I think the hype for Davis Mills was unwarranted. I just think that it's because he was he was decent on a bad team last year. They're not really going to be that good. I mean, there's not much. I mean, Damian Pierce is probably the running back one there.
Rex Burkhead running back too.
Yeah, like they have some decent dudes. Like I really don't have much to say about that team.
Fair.
Derek Stingley's there, right?
Yeah, Derek Stingley.
He's cool.
Junior. Yeah.
Next, I have the Jags going 5-12. I think they took some steps forward. But this is going to be a promising 5-12. I think they're going to compete in a lot of games. Trevor Lawrence, this is kind of his year to prove that he's worth being a number 1 pick. 5-12. Next, I got the Titans. I have them going 10-7. I think that Ryan Tannehill is not going to do much, really. I think that we might see Malik Willis. I'm not really putting any money on that. Derrick Henry's going to take some steps back, in my opinion, and losing A.J. Brown hurts. But that defense is going to be good like usual. Mike Vrabel, they're coached well. Their line's good, so I mean, they're going to be a competitive team. They might sneak into the playoffs. Then I got the Colts winning the division at 12-5. I love what they've done. I love Matt Ryan, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in the league. The offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in the league. That defense picking up Stephon Gilmore, that's a solid defense. I love what they did.
I forgot that they got Gilmore.
Yeah, so I love the Colts this year at 12-5.
Okay, I'll go next.
Number 2 seed in the AFC.
Starting at the bottom, we have the Texans. I have them going 5-12, and a big reason of that is I think we're going to see a few games where Davis Mills actually kind of comes through, and it's like, oh yeah, we were all right about Davis Mills. I still think Davis Mills stinks. I still think Drew Lock is better than Davis Mills, and Geno Smith is also better than Davis Mills. But yeah, 5-12. I feel like that's a good number to be like.
Yeah, they could randomly scrap a few wins.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to scrap a few wins to the point where the Texans fans are going to be mad that they're not getting the pick that they want. I think that they're just such a bad franchise to the point that they're not even going to get the pick that they want. Next up, I got the Jags at 6-11, so just one more win than you. That one more win, I think, is going to be the Trevor Lawrence game, where he just bugs out. Goes off 400 yards, a few touchdowns, maybe one on the ground as well. And ETN and him kind of have a little two-man game going during that game as well. And the Jags, like you said about your 5-12 Jags, my 6-11 Jags, same thing. This is a promising 6-11.
Mm-hmm.
Very promising 6-11. At the top, I have another tie. I feel like the last couple of divisions I've talked about, we had ties. At the top, that's between the Titans and the Colts, obviously. I have them both at 10-7. Now, I'm very low on this division in general just because it's the AFC South. I do have the Titans winning the tiebreaker. I don't know why. Straight up. I just do. I think it's because of Vrabel. I think Derrick Henry will be pretty good this year. And I think it's going to be fun to kind of watch Derrick Henry go up against Jonathan Taylor just in terms of AFC South running backs. This is going to be very exciting to watch. That's going to be the best part of the AFC South this year. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
So, also, last Texans at 4-13, but I think this is like a decent 4-13. They're going to just be scrappy. They're going to win a few games. No one's going to really think too much about it, but they're going to
they'll be there.
They'll
I feel like
they'll compete in games that we don't expect them to compete in, and they're going to be like, oh, wow.
We'll see it on Red Zone, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
What's the score of that game?
Yeah,
that's
like,
exactly
oh, why are the Texans only down 4?
Yeah.
And then, it's something random like that. And then I have the Jags going 5-12, like Stav said, and you guys both said it's a good 5-12.
Yeah, they're taking steps forward.
They're going to compete in
New coach.
They're going to compete in most of the games that they're playing in. I just don't feel like they're going to have the strength to really take them over the edge in the fourth quarter. Those times where they need to get the lead back or whatnot. But that's a strong 5-12.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Titans going 9-8. I just think they're kind of going to be an average team this year. I don't really think too much about them.
Tannehill really throws me off.
Yeah, Tannehill. That's the only reason why I just don't really know about that team. That team kind of always just finds their way and don't end up doing too much with it. Then Colts going 12-5, winning the division. I like that whole team.
I don't know what is wrong with me in terms of the Colts because
I'm also low on this division.
I'm just low on the division.
Is I just think that they'll at least split with everyone in the division, and I think the Colts are gonna beat out the Jags and the Texans, both games, and I think they'll split with the Titans.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous for Matt Ryan, and it's a mental thing where I don't know if he's gonna be healthy. I don't know. That's my prediction.
That's not a bad prediction.
Who did I say on the last episode that I was like someone's having a season ending? Yeah, Kyler Murray's having a season ending injury, so they're going 6-11. But yeah, I'm just Matt Ryan is so old. I love Matt Ryan. I have a Matt Ryan BC jersey in my closet right now. I love Matt Ryan. I don't wish any harm against him. I just with such a young team, I hate when there's a young team with an old quarterback.
Why do the Colts keep doing this? They did it with Phillip Rivers, then they did it last year with Carson
Just
Wentz.
Get a quarterback.
Yeah.
Just get a quarterback.
Just
get one. You could have got Baker.
Yeah.
You could have got
Baker on the Colts would be awesome.
Baker on the Colts would be fantastic.
I would have him going 13-4 if they had Baker.
I'm being dead ass. No, yeah. A young team with a young quarterback that
was a chip on his shoulder.
Yes. Baker's gonna be good.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm going
to talk about it right now.
And I really don't have... Actually, no, I had him...
Okay. No, that's why this is a good record because he's on a bad team.
Yes.
And that's the Panthers. I have them tying with the Falcons at the bottom of this division at 7-10. And 7-10 for Baker Mayfield on this team is a success.
Yeah, do you want to just go with your...
I'm going to go with mine right now. So, yeah, I got the Panthers at 7-10, and I think all 7 of these wins are going to be because of Baker Mayfield. I think that Chuba Hubbard is going to have... Chuba Hubbard is going to have a good role this year, splitting reps with Christian McCaffrey, and that's why I drafted him in fantasy, because they're going to be nervous of CMC, so they're going to use him a little bit less to try to extend his ability to actually be on the field. And Chuba Hubbard is a great guy to, kind of be like that second back that's going to get good touches, maybe a couple red zone touches as well, a lot of power sets, a lot of eye form, stuff like that. The Falcons, 7-10, I have as well. I like the Falcons. They fly around the field. Marcus Mariota, speedster, likes to throw the ball. He's from Hawaii. Mm-hmm. That's a big positive. That's a cool place to be.
Kyle Pitts is just sick.
Kyle Pitts, awesome. Drake London, awesome.
Cordero Patterson's there.
Cordero Patterson returns kicks.
Running back sometimes.
Maybe. At the end of the day, the Falcons at 7-10, this is going to be a success, and Desmond Ridder is going to be their quarterback next year. I love Desmond Ridder.
Did you guys see that Monday night game? Yeah, we were watching. We were in chat. Yeah. Desmond Ridder kind of looks like he's ready.
I love Desmond Ridder. I love Desmond Ridder.
He looks like he's ready. He looks like an Air Force pilot in the 1940s.
Dude, and just flying.
Yeah,
just flying.
Focused man.
Just absolutely locked in. But to finish off, kind of shaking up here at the top half, you would think that I have the Bucs at the 1 seed, William, but I do not. I got the Saints, but we'll start with the Bucs. I got them at 10-7. That offensive line is in shambles. Tom Brady is 400 years old, and he is still amazing, but He's not someone that can move out of the pocket. And if you had a great offensive line around him, I'd probably have them winning the Super Bowl this year with Julio Jones, with Chris Godwin. They have the weapons around them. They just don't have the big boys. And they have a decent defense. I like their front seven a lot. I'll never be sold on their secondary. So I have them finishing in at 10-7. And I have the Saints with Jameis going 11-6. This team is complete. And it's really all up to how Jameis is going to bounce back from this injury, and it's going to be how Michael Thomas also comes back from this injury as well. And if they are successful off of this, I do see them going 11-6, and I see them competing for a Super Bowl.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest.
I'll go now, I guess. I'm in the same boat with you with the Falcons. I actually do like the Falcons. Yeah. I just don't think that they're ready.
I like them. They're not like a. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say it. They're young, fun, and exciting.
Yeah,
all three of them.
100%. It's just,
all three of them.
It just, I don't know. They have some holes in that team, obviously. I mean, that second, AJ Terrell is good.
Yes. He's a superstar in the making.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. Deion Jones is still there, right?
Yeah.
He's fast. He's a Madden user. That's the.
If you're a Madden user, you're good in real life.
That's how I think of it. And then obviously that offense, what's there. Their line's okay, I guess. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It's just
Lindstrom.
It's just a bunch of meh.
Matt Hennessy. Yeah. Jake Matthews. It's a bunch of. It's like names that you realize, and if you know the name of an offensive lineman, it's like, oh, they might be good.
Oh, Olamide Zaccheaus. I just like to say his name. He's a wide receiver.
He is good though.
Yeah, I know. I just like to say his name, and whenever the announcer says it, it's funny. All right, next in that division, I have these Panthers going 7-10. Baker's going to lead them in a way.
Mm-hmm. I hope they move Sam Darnold anywhere and just find like another piece.
Yeah,
maybe on defense, just anybody. Maybe like
I don't love that defense.
I don't either.
Their linebackers are very mad, except like Shaq Thompson.
Yeah.
Their secondary is not good.
Their line isn't bad though. Derek Brown and Ioannidis in the middle.
Yeah,
that's two big boys in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but I mean, Brian Burns on the outs. Actually, no, the D line's okay.
No, the D line's
good. That's the
Dos Matos.
And even their safeties are good at. And JC Horn. Okay, so what am I saying? I think the Panthers' defense is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
I hate their linebackers.
The linebackers are terrible.
Shaq Thompson's good, but I hate the rest of them.
Yeah, so that's another hole. I mean, but they're not. I don't think Matt Rule's a good coach.
Johnny Hecker on this team, that punter.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
He's gonna kick the shit out.
I did not know that Johnny Hecker was on this.
When they called his name last week with the preseason game, I was like, oh,
that's interesting.
But their coach is terrible. I think that's holding them back. To be honest,
who's their coach now?
Matt Rule.
Oh yeah,
I think he's an idiot.
That's right. No, you're right.
I don't think he's gonna.
He can't put it together.
Yeah, so that's literally the only reason why. I think Sean Payton's gonna return as a Panthers coach. Next, I have I swapped out what you had, Griff.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Saints going 10-7. They're going to be good. I think Jameis Winston throws away too many, like 2 games or whatever, which causes them to go 10-7 that they should have won, but he'll throw like a pick six or something. And is Michael Thomas going to play? I don't know.
I pray to God he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah. Well, you think he'd play? Like last year, we thought he was going to play. He just never did. And then to finish this division. No, and I love the Saints defense as well. They got Tyrann. They got Tyrann Mathieu. Cam Jordan's still there. Demario Davis is awesome.
Marcus
Davenport too.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson is like not a starter.
He's the Pat,
and he's awesome.
He's the Patrick Beverly.
I love C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, like that team. That team's good. And you have Kamara until further notice.
I think Kamara's going to play.
I think he's going to play, but that court case happens in the middle of the season, so
and they have Mark Ingram back as well.
Yeah, but it's like okay, like
they have a complete team.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's the question of can they retain it without Sean Payton?
Yes,
because he's a guy who definitely would keep everyone in line. They have Vita Vea too. No, that's the Bucks. You switched over. I was all right, and then obviously the remaining team, I have the Bucks finishing 11-6. I think Tom Brady in his final year is not going to not win the division at least. Everyone's back. Like that team didn't lose anyone. And if Russell Gage is your wide receiver 3, Julio Jones your wide receiver 4, Tyler Johnson, they have 6 starting receivers.
Yeah, no, they have a lot of receivers. It's just I don't like looking at
their line.
They have a good tight end.
Shaq Mason's there and Tristan Wirfs is there. That's
Tristan Wirfs is hurt right now.
He'll be back. Tom Brady will
I
give
think,
him.
I think it's like 4 or 5 weeks.
Tom Brady will give him some kale salad or something, and he'll be fine. And then, I got him going 11-6 winning the division.
So, like you guys, I have Falcons going 6-11, solid 6-11.
Success.
I think that's
a success.
That's a good season for them. I like them going 6-11.
I'm gonna love the Falcons this year. That's gonna be my bad team that I like.
And I really don't have anything else to say. I think they're just going to be.
This team would be a 7-10 team if Calvin really didn't get wrongfully suspended for the entire year.
You maybe can think.
A whole year. I would say 8. I would say 8. A whole year after
Calvin Ridley's good for a win.
Suspensions of other people. A whole year for betting is crazy.
Yeah.
I know it is illegal, but that's crazy.
And he bet on his own team. He wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
He just believed.
He's a big
Falcons. Like, sorry for supporting like the boys.
Who snitched?
He literally
Who
believed.
snitched?
The app. He did it on like FanDuel.
Such losers.
He did it on like FanDuel.
You think I'm going to bet with FanDuel? Absolutely not.
Never.
Nope.
Snitches.
Next, I'm gonna go Bucks at 10-7. I just think their holes are way too, like their gaps on their team are way too big for really them to have a lot of success. But I still think they're good enough to be 10-7 and possibly maybe even win a couple more games in 10-7. But I just think those gaps are not ideal for their situation right now. Then I'm high on the Panthers. I don't know why. I just really like the Panthers. I have them tying with the Bucks going 10-7. I like their offense. I know their linebackers aren't great, but I like their defense a lot. They can hold their ground. Their offense can be very explosive if they can stay healthy. I think they can win 10 games this year. And then I have the Saints winning the division at 11-6. I just believe in Jameis.
That's fair. You gotta believe in James.
I just believe. I just really think they're going to be a good team. Like they have all the key components to a successful team in this league, and this division isn't really that strong. I know I have 3 teams in double-digit wins, but they're not strong teams. Like
I do also.
To be fair, they don't have that hard of seasons.
No, they don't.
Like
none of them do.
They don't have that hard of a schedule. So
Tom Brady brought his easy schedules with him from the AFC East to the NFC South.
So
once Brady
and
left the AFC
that's why I think that helps the Panthers this year because they don't really play a lot of challenging teams, so they can kind of slip in that awkward area where they can maybe sneak in a wild card appearance.
My last thoughts on the NFC South about the Falcons. They have the best 3 quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion, and it's the fact that Felipe Franks is going to be a Taysom Hill. He's been taking reps at tight end. He hasn't
really
at tight end. Felipe Franks, former Florida quarterback, Arkansas quarterback. He transferred. Very athletic, awesome. These 3 quarterbacks run. They move. They throw the ball as well. These guys are. It's like you can honestly it's just a little bit worse at. Like, as you go further down the depth chart, they are all better.
Marcus Mariota wearing number 1 just fits.
Awesome.
With a visor, too, he looks
awesome. With the
visor. This is
visor.
a fast team.
In Mercedes-Benz stadium, not dome, stadium. He looks awesome, especially with, he has, like, a certain, like, cage on his helmet that has 808 on it, which is
that's fire.
The Hawaii, area code. So that's fire. All Hawaiians in the league have that, by the way. Just so you can use it in Madden as well.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should check that out. It is by far the coolest thing. That was quick. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. Unless anybody has anything else to say.
Nope.
Ready for football.
Ready for football. Preseason is coming to an end.
Week 0 coming to a start.
Week 0
out right now.
Tomorrow. Nobody knew about it except for me. Big game in Dublin, Ireland for the homeland. We will catch you guys next week. We will not be in person next week. We will all be at school. We will see you guys on the next episode. Have a good week, and peace.
Peace.
Peace.